Hare Krishna, everybody. Welcome to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books here at the Life Studios on Ekadasi. Everyone's having an Ekadasi Vrat. And welcome to all of you out in cyberspace. We hope you're having a nice Ekadasi, if it is Ekadasi where you are. We have Jaya, who just taught me how to remember his name in 3 seconds. Very intelligent, part Guatemalan and part Mexico, and very, very pious person, and we welcome him. Hare Krishna. Welcome to the family, La Familia. And okay, let's get right into it. The prayer to Sanatana Goswami, one of the great teachers in our line of spiritual authority, has written a very beautiful and authoritative glorification of the Srimad-Bhagavatam, which is the book we'll be reading from Javier today. In Sanskrit it goes like this, and we'll give the English also. Oh, you have okay, good, we'll follow along. Srimad-Bhagavata Mahima Stotram, and it goes like this. Sarvasashtabdipi Yusha, Sarvasidaika Satpala, Sarvasiddhanta Ratnaja, Sarvalokaika Drikprada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. Sarva Bhagavata Prana, Srimad-Bhagavata Prabho, Kalidwandoditaditya, Sri Krishna Parivartita. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master Srimad-Bhagavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Sri Krishna. Paramananda Pataya, Prema Varshakshadayate, Sarvada Sarvasevyaya, Shri Krishnaya Namostume. I bow down to you who are supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Shri Krishna himself. Madeka Bando Matsangin, Madguru Mad Mahadana, Mannistaraka Mad Bhagya, Mad Ananda Namostute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. Asadu sadhu tadayin, atini chutata kada, hanamunchakadashin mam, premnarit kandayospura. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So we've reached the 18th chapter of the Srimad-Bhagavatam. The Srimad-Bhagavatam, as we just read, is nectar from beginning to end, and there's nothing in it that does not relate to pure devotional service. So now we're going to read about something that happened in the heavenly planets that should remind us that we don't really want to go to the heavenly planets. We want to go to the spiritual world. The 18th chapter is called Diti, who is the mother of the demons, vows to kill King Indra. Yes, these things are going on, top to bottom. Abrahma bhuvana loka puna arvatanorjana mamupeja tukonta puna janmana vidyate. From the topmost planet in the spiritual world, in the material world, topmost planet in the material world, to the lowest, all are places where repeated birth and death take place. So there are intrigues and these kinds of things that go on from top to bottom. And the message is, let's go back to Godhead, to the spiritual world, where there's no time, no death, no disease, no old age, no murder. Okay, here we go. Very interesting chapter. This chapter gives the history of Diti, the wife of Kashyapa, and how she followed a vow to have a son who would kill Indra. Poor Indra, he's always getting like people trying to kill him, you know. That doesn't pay to be a leader nowadays, or even then. It also describes how Indra attempted to foil her plan by cutting to pieces the son within her womb. Whoa! In relation to Twashta and his descendants, there is a description of the dynasty of the Adityas, sons of Aditi. She's the mother of the demigods. So there's Diti, she's the mother of the demons, and Aditi, she's the mother of the demigods. Prishni, the wife of Aditi's fifth son, named Savita, had 3 daughters, Savitri, Vyariti, and we're hearing now the history of the genealogical table of the universe. Very interesting. Prishni, the wife of Aditi's fifth son, named Savita, had 3 daughters, Savitri, Vyariti, and Trayi, and very exalted sons named Agnihotra, Pashu, Soma, Chaturmasya, and the 5 Mahayagyas. Siddhi, the wife of Bhaga, had 3 sons named Mahima, Vibhu, and Prabhu, and she also had 1 daughter whose name was Ashi. Datta had 4 wives, Kuhu, Sinivali, Raka, and Anumati, who had 4 sons named Sayam, Darsha, Prata, and Purnamasa, respectively. Kriya, the wife of Vidata, gave birth to the 5 Purishas, who were representatives of the 5 kinds of fire gods. Bhrigu, the mind-born son of Brahma, took his birth again from Charshani, the wife of Varuna, and the great sage Valmiki appeared from Varuna's semen. Agastya and Vishishta were 2 sons of Varuna and Mitra. Upon seeing the beauty of Urvashi, Mitra and Varuna discharged semen, which they kept in an earthen pot. From that pot, Agastya and Vasishta appeared. Mitra had a wife named Revati, who gave birth to 3 sons, Utsarga, Arista, and Pipala. Aditi had 12 sons, of whom Indra was the 11th. Indra's wife was named Paulomi, Shachidevi. She gave birth to 3 sons, Jayanta, Rishab, and Midusha, by his own powers. The Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared as Vamanadev. From his wife, whose name was Kirti, appeared a son named Briyat Shloka. Briyat Shloka's first son was known as Saubhaga. This is a description of the sons of Aditi. A description of Aditya, Urukrama, who was an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, will be offered in the 8th canto. The demons born of Diti are also described in this chapter. In the dynasty of Diti appeared the great saintly devotee Prahlad, and also Bali, Prahlad's grandson. Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha were the first sons of Diti. Hiranyakashipu and his wife, whose name was Kayadu, had 4 sons, Sanglada, Anulada, Lada, and Prahlada. They also had 1 daughter, whose name was Singika. In association with the demon Viprajit, Samika bore a son named Rahu, whose head was severed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Kriti, the wife of Samlada, bore a son named Panchajana. Lada's wife, whose name was Damani, gave birth to 2 sons, Vatapi and Ilvala. Ilvala put Vatapi into the form of a ram and gave him to Agastya to eat. Whoa! Anulada, in the womb of his wife, Surya begot 2 sons named Bashkala and Mahisha. Prahlad's son was known as Virochana, and his grandson was known as Bali Maharaj. Bali Maharaj had 100 sons, of whom Bana was the eldest. After describing the dynasty of the Adityas and the other demigods, Shukadeva Goswami describes Diti's sons, known as the Maruts, and how they were elevated to the position of demigods. Just to help Indra, Lord Vishnu had killed Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. Because of this, Diti was very envious, and she was eager to have a son who could kill Indra. By her service, she enchanted Kashyapa Muni in order to beg from him a greater son to do this. In corroboration of the Vedic statement, Vidbang Sang Apikarshati, Kashyapa Muni was attracted to his beautiful wife and promised to grant her any request. When, however, she requested a son who would kill Indra, he condemned himself, and he advised his wife, Diti, to follow the Vaishnava ritualistic ceremonies to purify herself. When Diti, following the instructions of Kashyapa, engaged in devotional service, Indra could understand her purpose, and he began observing all her activities. One day Indra had the opportunity to see her deviating from devotional service. Thus he entered her womb and cut her son into 49 parts. In this way, the 49 kinds of air, known as the Maruts, appeared. But because Diti had performed the Vaishnava ritualistic ceremonies, all the sons became Vaishnavas. This is like a blockbuster, you know. We can make a movie out of this one. Okay, text 1. You need a program to remember this, to remember the names of the characters here. Text 1. Sri Shukadeva Goswami said, Prishni, who was the wife of Sabita, the 5th of the 12th sons of Aditi, gave birth to 3 daughters, Savitri, Vyariti, and Trayi. And the sons, named Agnihotra, Pashu, Soma, Chaturmasya, and the 5 Mahayagyas. Text 2. O King Siddhi, who was the wife of Bhaga, O King Siddhi, who was the wife of Bhaga, the 6th son of Aditi, bore 3 sons, named Mahima, Vibhu, and Prabhu, and one extremely beautiful daughter, whose name was Ashi. Text 3 and 4. Datta, the 7th son of Aditi, had 4 wives, named Kahu, Sinivali, Rakha, and Anumati. These wives begot 4 sons, named Sayam, Darsha, Prata, and Purnamasa, respectively. The wife of Vidatta, the 8th son of Aditi, was named Kriya. In her, Vidatta begot the 5 fire gods named the Purishas. The wife of Varuna, the 9th son of Aditi, was named Charshani. Brighu, the son of Brahma, took birth again from her womb. Text 5. By the semen of Varuna, the great mystic Valmiki took birth from an anthill. Brighu and Valmiki were specific sons of Varuna, whereas Agastya and Vashishta rishis were the common sons of Varuna and Mitra, the 10th son of Aditi. Text 6. Upon seeing Urvashi, the celestial society girl, both Mitra and Varuna discharged semen, which they preserved in an earthen pot. The 2 sons, Agastya and Vashishta, later appeared from that pot, and they are therefore the common sons of Mitra and Varuna. Mitra begot 3 sons in the womb of his wife, whose name was Revati. Their names were Atsarga, Arishta, and Pipala. Purport. Modern science is trying to generate living entities in test tubes by processing semen, but even long ago it was possible for semen kept in a pot to develop into a child. This was a long time ago. This is billions of years ago. Text 7. O King Parikshit, Indra, the king of the heavenly planets, and 11th son of Aditi, begot 3 sons, named Jayanta, Rishabh, and Midusha, in the womb of his wife Polomi. Thus we have heard. Text 8. By his own potency, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has multifarious potencies, appeared in the form of a dwarf as Urukrama, the 12th son of Aditi. In the womb of his wife, whose name was Kirti, he begot 1 son named Briyat Shloka, who had many sons, headed by Sobhag. Purport. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 4:6, Ajopi son avyayatma bhutanam ishwaro pisan prakritim swam adishtaya sambhavam yatmamayaya. Although I am unborn and my transcendental body never deteriorates, and although I am the Lord of all sentient beings, I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead incarnates, he does not need help from any help from the external energy, for he appears as he is by his own potency. The spiritual potency is also called Maya. It is said, Ato Maya Mayam Vishnu Prabhadanti Manishinaha. The body accepted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead is called Maya Maya. This does not mean that he is formed of the external energy. This Maya refers to his internal potency. Text 9. Later in the 8th canto of Srimad-Bhagavatam, I shall describe how Urukrama, Lord Vamanadev, appeared as the son of the great sage Kashyapa, and how he covered the 3 worlds with 3 steps. I shall describe the uncommon activities he performed, his qualities, his power, and how he took birth from the womb of Aditi. Text 10. Now let me describe the sons of Diti, who were begotten by Kashyapa, but who became demons. In this demoniac family, the great devotee Prahlad Maharaj appeared, and Bali Maharaj also appeared in that family. The demons are technically known as Daityas, because they proceeded from the womb of Diti. Text 11. First, the 2 sons named Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha took birth from Diti's womb. Both of them were very powerful and were worshipped by the Daityas and Danavas. Text 12 and 13. The wife of Hiranyakashipu was known as Kayadu. She was the daughter of Jamba and a descendant of Danu. She gave birth to 4 consecutive sons, known as Samlada, Anulada, Lada, and Pralada. The sister of these 4 sons was known as Sangika. She married the demon named Biprachit and gave birth to another demon named Rahu. Text 14. While Rahu in disguise was drinking nectar among the demigods, the Supreme Personality of Godhead severed his head. The wife of Samlada was named Kriti. By union with Samlada, Kriti gave birth to a son named Panchajana. Text 15. The wife of Lada was named Damani. She gave birth to 2 sons, named Vatapi and Ilvala. When Agastya Muni became Ilvala's guest, Ilvala served him a feast by cooking Vatapi, who was in the shape of a ram. Text 16. The wife of Ahulada was named Surya. She gave birth to 2 sons, named Bashkala and Mahisha. Prahlad had 1 son, Virochana, whose wife gave birth to Bali Maharaj. Text 17. Thereafter Bali Maharaj begot 100 sons in the womb of Ashana. One of these 100 sons, King Bana, was the eldest. The activities of Bali Maharaj, which are very laudable, will be described later in the 8th canto. Text 18. Since King Bana was a great worshipper of Lord Shiva, he became one of Lord Shiva's most celebrated associates. Even now, Lord Shiva protects King Bana's capital and always stands beside him. Text 19. The 49 Marut demigods were also born from the womb of Diti. None of them had sons. Although they were born of Diti, King Indra gave them a position as demigods. Purport. Apparently, even demons can be elevated to positions as demigods when their atheistic character is reformed. There are two kinds of men throughout the universe. Those who are devotees of Lord Vishnu are called demigods, and those who are just the opposite are called demons. Even the demons can be transformed into demigods, as the statement of this verse proves. Text 20. King Parikshit inquired, "My dear Lord, due to their birth, the 49 Maruts must have been obsessed with a demoniac mentality. Why did Indra, the king of heaven, convert them into demigods? Did they perform any rituals or pious activities?" Text 21. My dear Brahmana, I and all the sages present with me are eager to know about this. Therefore, O great soul, kindly explain to us the reason. Text 22. Sri Sutta Goswami said, O great sage Shonika, after hearing Maharaj Parikshit speak respectfully and briefly on the topics essential to hear, Shukadev Goswami, who was well aware of everything, praised his endeavor with great pleasure and replied. Purport. Maharaj Parikshit's question was very much appreciated by Shukadev Goswami because although it was composed of a small number of words, it contained meaningful inquiries about how these sons of Diti, although born as demons, became demigods. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur stresses that even though Diti was very envious, her heart was purified because of a devotional attitude. Another significant topic is that although Kashyapa Muni was a learned scholar and was advanced in spiritual consciousness, he nonetheless fell a victim to the inducement of his beautiful wife. All these questions were posed in a number of small words, and therefore Shukadev Goswami very much appreciated Maharaj Parikshit's inquiry. Text 23. Sri Shukadev Goswami said, just to help Indra, Lord Vishnu killed the two brothers Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. Because of their being killed, their mother Diti, overwhelmed with lamentation and anger, contemplated as follows. Text 24. Lord Indra, who is very much fond of sense gratification, has killed the two brothers Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu by means of Lord Vishnu. Therefore Indra is cruel, hard-hearted, and sinful. When will I, having killed him, rest with a pacified mind? Text 25 rather. When dead, the bodies of all the rulers, known as kings and great leaders, will be transformed into worms, stool, or ashes. If one enviously kills others for the protection of such a body, does he actually know the true interest of life? Certainly he does not, for if one is envious of other living entities, he surely goes to hell. Purport. The material body, even if possessed by a great king, is ultimately transformed into stool, worms, or ashes. When one is too attached to the bodily conception, of life, he is certainly not very intelligent. 26. Diti thought, Indra considers his body eternal, and thus he has become unrestrained. I therefore wish to have his son, who can remove Indra's madness. Let me adopt some means to help me in this. Purport. One who is in the bodily conception of life is compared in the Shastras to animals like cows and asses. Diti wanted to punish Indra, who had become like a lower animal. Texts 27 and 28. Thinking in this way, with the desire for a son to kill Indra, Diti began constantly acting to satisfy Kashyapa by her pleasing behavior. O king, Diti always carried out Kashyapa's orders very faithfully as he desired, with service, love, humility, and control, with words spoken very sweetly to satisfy her husband, and with smiles and glances at him. Diti attracted his mind and brought it under her control. Purport. When a woman wants to endear herself to her husband and make him very faithful, she must try to please him in all respects. When the husband is pleased with his wife, the wife can receive all necessities, ornaments, and full satisfaction for her senses. This is indicated by the behavior of Diti. Text 29. Although Kashyapa Muni was a learned scholar, he was captivated by Diti's artificial behavior, which brought him under her control. Therefore, he assured his wife that he would fulfill her desires. Such a promise by a husband is not at all astonishing. Text 30. In the beginning of creation, Lord Brahma, the father of all living entities of the universe, saw that all the living entities were unattached. To increase population, he then created woman from the better half of man's body, for woman's behavior carries away a man's mind. Purport. This entire universe is going on under the spell of sexual attachment, which was created by Lord Brahma to increase the population of the entire universe, not only in human society, but also in other species. As stated by Rishabdev in the 5th canto, Pungsastriya Mituni Bhavame Tam, the entire world is going on under the spell of sexual attraction and desire between man and woman. When man and woman unite, the hard knot of this attraction becomes increasingly tight, and thus a man is implicated in the materialistic way of life. This is the illusion of the material world. This illusion acted upon Kashyapa Muni, although he was very learned and advanced in spiritual knowledge. As stated in the Manu Samhita 2:215 and Srimad-Bhagavatam 9:19-17, Matra Swasra Duhitra Va Navivaktatsano Bhavet Balaban Indriya Gramo Bidbang Sam Apikarshati. A man should not associate with a woman in a solitary place, not even with his mother, sister, or daughter, for the senses are so strong that they lead astray even a person advanced in knowledge. When a man remains in a solitary place with a woman, his sexual desires undoubtedly increase. Therefore, the words ekanta bhutani, which are used here, indicate that to avoid sexual desires, one should avoid the company of women as far as possible. Sexual desire is so powerful that one is saturated with it, if he stays in a solitary place with a woman, even his mother, sister, or daughter. Text 31. O my dear one, the most powerful sage Kashyapa, being extremely pleased by the mild behavior of his wife Diti, smiled and spoke to her as follows. Kashyapa Muni said, "O beautiful woman, O irreproachable lady, since I am very much pleased by your behavior, you may ask me for any benediction you want." If a husband is pleased, what desires are difficult for his wife to obtain, either in this world or in the next? Text 33 and 34. A husband is the supreme demigod for a woman. The supreme personality of Godhead, Lord Vasudeva, the husband of the goddess of fortune, is situated in everyone's heart and is worshipped through the various names and forms of the demigods by fruity workers. Similarly, a husband represents the Lord as the object of worship for a woman. Purport. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 9:23, Ye pyanya devata bhakta yajante shadayanvitaha tepimam evakontiya yajantavidi purvakam. Whatever a man may sacrifice to other gods, O son of Kunti, is really meant for me alone, but it is offered without true understanding. The demigods are various assistants who act like the hands and legs of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who is not in direct touch with the Supreme Lord cannot conceive of the exalted position of the Lord. One who is not in direct touch with the Supreme Lord and cannot conceive of the exalted position of the Lord is sometimes advised to worship the demigods as various parts of the Lord. If women, who are usually very much attached to their husbands, worship their husbands as representatives of Vasudeva, the women benefit, just as Ajamil benefited by calling for Narayana, his son. Ajamil was concerned with his son, but because of his attachment to the name of Narayana, he attained salvation simply by chanting that name. In India, a husband is called Pati Guru, the husband spiritual master. If husband and wife are attached to one another for advancement in Krishna consciousness, their relationship of cooperation is very effective for such advancement. Although the names of Indra and Agni are sometimes uttered in the Vedic mantras, Indrayo Swaha, Agnaye Swaha, the Vedic sacrifices are actually performed for the satisfaction of Lord Vishnu. As long as one is very much attached to material sense gratification, the worship of the demigods or the worship of one's husband is recommended. Text 35. My dear wife, whose body is so beautiful, your waist being thin, a conscientious wife should be chaste and should abide by the orders of her husband. She should very devoutly worship her husband as a representative of Vasudeva. Text 36. My dear gentle wife, because you have worshipped me with great devotion, considering me a representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I shall reward you by fulfilling your desires, which are unobtainable for an unchaste wife. Text 37. Diti replied, O my husband, O great soul, I have now lost my sons. If you want to give me a benediction, I asked for an immortal son who can kill Indra. I pray for this because Indra, with the help of Vishnu, has killed my two sons, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. Purport. The words Indra, Hanam, means one who can kill Indra, but it also means one who follows Indra. The word Amrityum refers to the demigods, who do not die like ordinary human beings because they have extremely long durations of life. For example, the duration of Lord Brahma's life is stated in Bhagavad Gita, Sahasra Yuga Paryantam Aharyad Brahmano Vidu. Bhagavad Gita 8:17. Even the duration of one day or 12 hours of Brahma is 4,300,000 years multiplied by 1,000. Thus, the duration of his life is inconceivable for an ordinary human being. The demigods are therefore sometimes called Amara, which means one who has no death. In this material world, however, everyone has to die. Therefore, the word Amrityum indicates that Diti wanted a son who would be equal in status to the demigods. Text 38. Upon hearing Diti's request, Kashyapa Muni was very much aggrieved. Alas, he lamented, now I face the danger of the impious act of killing Indra. Purport. Although Kashyapa Muni was eager to fulfill the desire of his wife Diti, when he heard that she wanted the son to kill Indra, his jubilation was immediately reduced to nothing because he was averse to the idea. Text 39. Kashyapa Muni thought, alas, I have now become too attached to material enjoyment. Taking advantage of this, my mind has been attracted by the illusory energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the form of a woman, my wife. Therefore, I am surely a wretched person who will glide toward hell. Text 40. This woman, my wife, has adopted a means that follows her nature, and therefore she is not to be blamed. But I am a man, therefore all condemnation upon me. I am not at all conversant with what is good for me, since I could not control my senses. Purport. The natural instinct of a woman is to enjoy the material world. She induces her husband to enjoy this world by satisfying his tongue, belly, and genitals, which are called jiva, udara, and upasta. A woman is expert in cooking palatable dishes so that she can easily satisfy her husband in eating. When one eats nicely, his belly is satisfied, and as soon as the belly is satisfied, the genitals become strong. Especially when a man is accustomed to eating meat and drinking wine and similar passionate things, he certainly becomes sexually inclined. It should be understood that sexual inclinations are meant not for spiritual progress, but for gliding down to hell. Thus Kashyapa Muni considered his situation and lamented. In other words, to be a householder is very risky unless one is trained and the wife is a follower of her husband. A husband should be trained at the very beginning of his life. Komara acharat pragyo dharman bhagavatan iha. Bhagavatam 7:6-1. During the time of brahmacharya or student life, a brahmachari should be taught to be expert in Bhagavad Dharma, devotional service. Then when he marries, if his wife is faithful to her husband and follows him in such life, the relationship between husband and wife is very desirable. However, a relationship between husband and wife without spiritual consciousness, but strictly for sense gratification, is not at all good. It is said in Srimad-Bhagavatam 12:2-3 that especially in this age, Kali Yuga, Dampatye Biruchir Hetu, the relationship between husband and wife will be based on sexual power. Therefore, householder life in this Kali Yuga is extremely dangerous unless both the wife and husband take to Krishna consciousness. Text 41. A woman's face is as attractive and beautiful as a blossoming lotus flower during autumn. Her words are very sweet and they give pleasure to the ear. But if we study a woman's heart, we can understand it to be extremely sharp, like the blade of a razor. In these circumstances, who could understand the dealings of a woman? Purport. Woman is now depicted very well from the materialistic point of view by Kashyapa Muni. Women are generally known as the fair sex, and especially in youth, at the age of 16 or 17, women are very attractive to men. Therefore, a woman's face is compared to a blooming lotus flower in autumn. Just as a lotus is extremely beautiful in autumn, a woman at the threshold of youthful beauty is extremely attractive. In Sanskrit, a woman's voice is called Nari Swara because women generally sing, and their singing is very attractive. At the present moment, cinema artists, especially female singers, are especially welcome. Some of them earn fabulous amounts of money simply by singing. Therefore, as taught by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, a woman singing is dangerous because it can make a sannyasi fall a victim to the woman. Sannyas means giving up the company of women. But if a sannyasi hears the voice of a woman and sees her beautiful face, he certainly becomes attracted and is sure to fall down. There have been many examples. Even the great sage Vishwamrita fell victim to Menaka. Therefore, a person desiring to advance in spiritual consciousness must be especially careful not to see a woman's face or see a woman's voice. To see a woman's face and appreciate its beauty, or to hear a woman's voice and appreciate her singing, is very nice. As very nice is a subtle fall down for a brahmachari or sannyasi. Thus, the description of a woman's features by Kashyapa is very instructive. When a woman's bodily features are attractive, when her wife is beautiful and her voice is sweet, she is naturally a trap for a man. The Shastras advise when such a woman comes to serve a man, she should be considered to be like a dark well covered by grass. In the fields there are many such wells, and a man who does not know about them drops through the grass and falls down. Thus there are many such instructions. Since the attraction of the material world is based on attraction for women, Kashyapa Muni thought, under the circumstances, who can understand the heart of a woman? Chandikya Pandit has also advised, Vishwaso naiva kartabhya strishu raja kulesha cha. There are two persons we should not trust, a woman, a politician, and a woman. These, of course, are authoritative shastric injunctions, and we should therefore be very careful in our dealings with women. Sometimes our Krishna consciousness movement is criticized for mingling men and women, but Krishna consciousness is meant for everyone. Whether one is a man or a woman does not matter. Lord Krishna personally says, Striyo Vaishyas Tata Shudras Tepiyanti Param Gatim. Whether one is a woman, Shudra, or Vaishya, not to speak of it being a Brahmana or Kshatriya, everyone is fit to return home, back to Godhead, if he strictly follows the instructions of the spiritual master and Shastra. We therefore request all the members of the Krishna consciousness movement, both men and women, not to be attracted by bodily features, but only to be attracted by Krishna. Then everything will be all right. Otherwise, there will be danger. I want to quote a verse which is very relevant here and will balance this equation. The verse goes like this. Yuvatinam yata yuni yunam cha yuvatau yata mano bidamite tadvam mano me ramatam twayi. Just as the minds of young ladies take pleasure in a young man, and the minds of young men take pleasure in a young woman, kindly let my mind take pleasure in you alone. That is the solution. Hare Krishna. Text 42. To satisfy their own interests, women deal with men as if the men were most dear to them, but no one is actually dear to them. Women are supposed to be very saintly, but for their own interests, they can kill even their husbands, sons, or brothers, or cause them to be killed by others. Purport. A woman's nature has been particularly well studied by Kashyapa Muni. Women are self-interested by nature. And I want to point out, because we got 3 women in the room, and I'm sure they're feeling a little bit heat right now. But the fact is that this is talking about materialistic women. This is talking about materialistic women. If a woman becomes a Vaishnavi, these principles don't apply. Got it? Women are self-interested by nature, and therefore they should be protected by all means, so that their natural inclination to be too self-interested will not be manifested. Women need to be protected by men. A woman should be cared for by her father in her childhood, by her husband in her youth, and her grown sons in her old age. This is the injunction of Manu, who says that a woman should not be given independence at any stage. Women must be cared for so that they will not be free to manifest their natural tendency for gross selfishness. There have been many cases, even in the present day, in which women have killed their husbands to take advantage of their insurance policies. This is not a criticism of women, but a practical study of their nature. Such natural instincts of a woman or a man are manifested only in the bodily conception of life. When either a man or a woman is advanced in spiritual consciousness, the bodily conception of life practically vanishes. We should see all women as spiritual units, aham brahmasmi, whose only duty is to satisfy Krishna. Then the influences of the different modes of material nature, which result from one's possessing a material body, will not act. The Krishna consciousness movement is so beneficial that it can very easily counteract the contamination of material nature, which results from one's possessing a material body. Bhagavad Gita therefore teaches in the very beginning that whether one is a man or a woman, one must know that he or she is not the body, but a spiritual soul. Everyone should be interested in the activities of the spirit soul, not the body. As long as one is activated by the bodily conception of life, there is always the danger of being misled, whether one is a man or a woman. The soul is sometimes described as Purusha, because whether one is dressed as a man or a woman, one is inclined to enjoy this material world. One who has this spirit of enjoyment is described as Purusha. Whether one is a man or a woman, he is not interested in serving others. Everyone is interested in satisfying his or her own senses. Krishna consciousness, however, provides first-class training for a man or a woman. A man should be trained to be a first-class devotee of Lord Krishna, and a woman should be trained to be a very chaste follower of her husband. That will make the lives of both of them happy. Text 43. I promised to give her a benediction, and this promise cannot be violated. But Indra does not deserve to be killed. In these circumstances, the solution I have is quite suitable. Purport. Kashyapa Muni concluded, Diti is eager to have a son who can kill Indra. Since she is a woman after all, she is not very intelligent. I shall train her in such a way that instead of always thinking of how to kill Indra, she will become a Vaishnava, a devotee of Krishna. If she agrees to follow the rules and regulations of the Vaishnava principles, the unclean core of her heart will certainly be cleansed. Cheto Darpana Marjanam. This is the process of devotional service. Anyone can be purified by following the principles of devotional service in Krishna consciousness. For Krishna consciousness is so powerful that it can purify even the dirtiest class of men and transform them into the topmost Vaishnavas. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement aims at this purpose. Narottam Das Thakur says, Rajendra Nandanaye Shachi Sutta Hoila Se Balarama Haila Nitai Dina Hina Yatta Chila Harinama Udarila Tara Shakshi Jagai Madai. The appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this Kali Yuga is especially meant to deliver the fallen souls who are always planning something for material enjoyment. He gave the people of this age the advantage of being able to chant the Hare Krishna mantra and thus become fully pure, free from all material contamination. Once one becomes a pure Vaishnava, he transcends all material conceptions of life. Thus, Kashyapa Muni tried to transform his wife into a Vaishnavi so that she might give up the idea of killing Indra. He wanted both her and her sons to be purified so that they would be fit to become pure Vaishnavas. Of course, sometimes a practitioner may fall down, but Kashyapa Muni thought that even if one falls while practicing the Vaishnava principles, he is still not a loser. Even a fallen Vaishnava is eligible for better results, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Even practicing the Vaishnava principles to a small extent can save one from the greatest danger of material existence. Thus, Kashyapa Muni planned to instruct his wife Diti to become a Vaishnava because he wanted to save the life of Indra. Hare Krishna. So we'll stop here, our daily readings, and turn it over to you. Well, and that was a mouthful. Anything you heard that you want to elaborate on or reflect upon or want more deep discussion about or question? Pranahari has got his hand up. Enlighten us further, both sage.
Well, I like that verse where in the string of verses there, Kashyapa Muni states he says, all condemnation upon me. And I was thinking how, that mood of taking responsibility for one's own side of things. If one has like a dependent, the husband-wife relationship, the wife is the dependent. That's like the Purusha Prakriti complex. And so taking responsibility that, I should have known better. But that was, my dependent is dependent on me, so it's my responsibility to,
Looks like we just had a strike. Someone walked out the door. Hopefully someone will come back. Fantastic.
Anyways, I just thought that was a very practical point that for those of us who want to be responsible devotees, taking that step to address our own anarthas and our own problems in spiritual life. Kashyapa didn't go into blaming her for her fault, even though her conscience was totally devious.
Yeah.
But he took the responsibility upon himself and came up with a nice solution.
Yes.
To elevate her and fix the problem.
Yes. Very nice. Thank you so much. Next. Yes, Dr. Damodar.
I think I have asked this question before, Maharaj, but while listening and reading to these chapters and the pastime, how much should we use, our own understanding of time frame? Just an example of Diti. She was the mother of Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha. So we know from that pastime that Hiranyakashipu prayed for 10,000 years to get the benediction, and then ruled and then killed. Prahlad Maharaj born.
Mm-hmm.
And now she is a grandmother and so many million years has passed. Now she still want another son. So like the time frame combining them together. Should we use these kind of understanding?
Well, there's a very interesting statement in the very beginning of this chapter. I don't know if you picked up on it. I immediately picked up on it, and I thought I might say something about it. And that was when Parikshit Maharaj was inquiring from Shukadev Goswami. One of the things that Shukadev Goswami said was, I know this from what I heard from authority. So this conversation happened just 5,000 years ago. And yet it's talking about hundreds and millions and billions and even trillions of years. So, I mean, one way out is try to just adjust it. Like in the Bible it said, God created the world in 7 days, and they use that time frame, and they calculate that the whole universe was created 4,000 years ago. You can go there and be completely in ignorance, but we're more educated now, and we can't buy that kind of thing. So we need to take stock of the histories that we're hearing about, and it's all calculated by astronomical calculations. It's not sentiment. It's not religious sentiment. It's actually astronomically calculated. The lifetime of Brahma, the number of times planets go around, and it's all calculated. As a matter of fact, there are calculations that actually pinpoint the beginning of the Kali Yuga, which happened just around the Battle of Kurukshetra, and the planetary systems are actually described there. The planets, where the planets are in relationship to the other planets in the solar system, and therefore these things are calculated. So rather than kind of rationalize our way out of it, the thing to do is to inquire and keep inquiring and keep inquiring, because we learn, all of us, by hearing from others. And that's why that statement in the beginning of this chapter is quite pertinent and quite important, because everything that we learn, all of us, not one of us do not learn, without hearing from someone else. So if we actually take these scriptures, which are actually history of the universe, as they are, rather than trying to adjust them, how much of it to not accept, how much of it to accept, how much of it to accept as just allegory, how much is accepted literal, then we will lose the spiritual intelligence to receive it and actually get a vision which will allow us to see what is the truth and what is the history of the universe. It's called vijnana. Vijnana means when you were becoming a doctor, you had to actually learn from people who actually knew what they were doing. Especially, like, you're not a surgeon, but you're a subtle surgeon. Do some subtle surgery on the subtle body in your psychiatric, roles. So it's like that, That's how we should take it. If the story or the philosophy or whatever is being made is allegorical in the Bhagavatam, it actually describes it's allegorical. And the other things, like the genealogical table, it traces all the way back, all the way down to Chandragupta, which is within our little history of the world that's in our books, in our history books. So there's a genealogical table that goes all the way from right around the time of Alexander the Great and the personalities who were in India, Chandragupta and Charika Pandit and all these people. From that time all the way back to Lord Brahma, it's all there in a historical. But because it's so many years, it can't possibly connect every single person. The book would be pretty big. As a matter of fact, in the heavenly planets, the Bhagavatam is 1 billion verses, whereas here we have 18,000. But in those heavenly planets where they have that lifespan to be able to assimilate it, read it and assimilate, it's 1 billion verses. So that's how we take it. We take it that the principles that are described here are not just allegorical, but they're actually principles that were taught to us by persons who were actually there and witnessed these things. The universe is created from Lord Vishnu, and then it's dissolved by Lord Vishnu. Or when he breathes in, when he breathes out, the universe is created, and all these things that we're hearing about in millions and trillions of years, they go on, and then when he breathes in, they're withdrawn into his body. So if we can get that, if we get the mercy of Krishna and can understand that that's actually a fact, that's the scope of time, and it's the actual power of God, that all these things can be happening in one of his breath. And he's an expansion of the expansion of the expansion of Krishna, meaning that all these things that happened, which we think are horrible or wonderful or whatever we think they are, blink of an eye for Krishna. Just a blink of an eye. Therefore, when we hear that when we go back to the spiritual world, it will be like we woke up from a dream, it's exactly like that. It's exactly like that. Because it's all happening in eternal time, and we can't conceive of eternal time now. To us, 100 years is a long time. I mean, I'm at 73 now, almost. In a couple of months, I'll be 73. It's a long time. I've seen a lot of changes, and I got a sense of having been around for a long time. So we have to develop the vision. We have to have our eyes changed. Premanjana chulitu bhakti vilochanena. When the eyes are actually smeared with love, when you actually love someone, then, things change toward that person, your vision of that person. So love of God is the same. But in order to love God, you have to know him. It says there in all the scriptures of the world. Know God. Purpose of human life is to know and love God. Purpose of religion is to know and love God. And if you don't know him, there's no way that you can love him. And our capacity to know him is very small. Therefore, if we actually understand these things in the context of our not being the body, like our Vaishnavis, none of them are in the seat right now. I hope that they didn't get scared away by that section of the Bhagavatam. But anyway, the fact is that if we are still thinking that we're the body, then we'll be disturbed by these things. But if we're free from the bodily conception, not only will we not be disturbed, we will take the instructions very carefully and follow them out, so that we will become purified and be able to go back to the spiritual world, no matter what kind of body we're in, whether a woman or a man or whatever. Tepiyanti param gatim. Krishna says, Tepiyanti param gatim. Whether we're in this Kali Yuga, we can't even relate to what a Kshatriya or a Brahmana is, a real Brahmana, that are being described in these scriptures. What those Kshatriyas can do, what those Brahmanas, the actual rishis, the things that they can do, we can't even, it seems to us to be like a myth. It seems like just phantasmagoria, like not real. Therefore, unless we can, with not neutrality exactly, with objectivity, by knowledge, learn to see ourselves and the very mystic powers that are there within this body, things that are going on without our knowledge, without our doing it, that are inconceivable, and then extrapolate that infinitesimal inconceivability and mystic powers to the Supreme, the Source, unlimited, then we get some idea. I mean, nobody can understand God and the absolute truth entirely. It's not possible. That's what inconceivable means. But not that we can't understand enough, that we can't be moved and understand and actually realize. But there is no other way to realize these things other than submissive oral reception. When Devahuti was inquiring from Kapila-dev, one of the things she said was, I need to hear about how the intelligence and the consciousness are merged together, and that I'm different from that. I can understand the gross body, how I'm not. It's always changing. In this lifetime it changes. But how the consciousness and the intelligence and the subtle body are so intimately merged, she said, that is beyond me. I'm a simple woman, and I don't have the philosophical acumen to be able to understand or figure that out. What to do? And then Kapila explained to her, yes, it is difficult. Therefore, you have to hear from the right source very seriously for a very long time. And then you can understand. You can't understand anything as profound as this just in a day or a month or even in a year or even in 100 years. Therefore, Bahanam Janmanam Mante Gyanavan Mam Prapadyate. Generally speaking, the conditioned soul has to go through many, many births before coming to the conclusion that Vasudeva Sarvamiti. And Samahatma Sadurlabhaha, such a person is very rare. So it all fits together, but one has to have the qualification of submissiveness. There's one very nice getting a little carried away here. Sorry. Wake up. There you go. There's one very nice 1844, don't let me forget. 44, yeah. Because I'm going to another place in this folio. I hope I can find this. I don't disappoint everybody. This is Adi Leela, first chapter, 55th verse, in a wonderful purport where Prabhupada explains this. He says, the personality of Godhead in his all-pervading feature of Paramatma enters every entity from the biggest to the most minute. His existence can be realized by one who has the single qualification of submissiveness, and who thereby becomes a surrendered soul. The development of submissiveness is the cause of proportionate spiritual realization, by which one can ultimately meet the Supreme Lord in person as a man meets another man face to face. So the whole material arrangement is just to bring us to this point of submissiveness. We try to conquer, we try lifetimes and lifetimes, and after being beaten down and having the experience of all the species of life, we come to the human form, we get the sukriti, the accumulated piety, in our hearts from having met and come in contact somehow or other with the Vaishnava philosophy and the Vaishnavas from in this line, coming from Lord Brahma. And then we begin to think, oh, this is interesting. Before that, other species of life, other material conditioning. We can't understand anything. We don't want to understand anything. It's like another language to us. When I used to go and distribute books at the airports here in America, I used to regularly have this experience. You know, because I was trying to distribute the book on the basis of the book. So I would sometimes read passages from the book to the person I was trying to distribute the book from. And sometimes, you know, a person would hear it and say, that's it, that's exactly what I'm looking for. Give me that book. And then, what can I give you for it? And then run away in ecstasy. And the next person I'd meet, I'd read the same thing to another person, and he would say, what are you doing here? This is what language is this in? Couldn't understand a word, even though it was the same words. And then I understood that there's such different qualification of people in the world. And then when I began to go deeper and deeper into the philosophy and heard it now for 47 years, it makes perfect sense. All the pieces fit together. It just requires for us to be qualified, to be able to hear it from the right persons, with a submissive spirit, with the right spirit, and we can get the realization immediately by that process. And there's no other way to get it. You can't figure it out. It's too complex. It's too, like you said, 311 trillion years ago, the beginning of this universe. Well, it's actually only half finished. It's only 150 something trillion years ago. Brahma's 50 years old. Yeah. And when you learn these things and learn how to live them, then when it says the men are attracted to the women are this, or the women, it doesn't even faze you anymore. Because you know you're not the body. These are just laws of nature that if you follow them, you can get out of this entanglement of all these things and go back to the spiritual world where there is no time, there's no space, but there are forms, there's relationships, there's loving exchanges, only they're eternal. No birth, no dirt, no dust, because there's no time to wear things down. No disease, no psychiatrist needed. No struggle to keep the body and soul together, because there the soul is the body, and everything is conscious, and everything wants to serve Krishna. Now we're surrounded by a body that doesn't want to serve Krishna. It just wants to give us pain in different ways. So as long as we're thinking that that's who we are, we won't be able to understand. So this is the thing. When we become submissive enough to hear and then understand from our own personal experience that this is actually true, and then we start to see things through that lens of transcendental knowledge. Om Jnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Then we can hear, then we can learn, then we can realize, and eventually we can see Krishna face to face in the pages of the Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna. I'm sorry the ladies ran out because I wanted to say that to them, but they got out quick before I could say it. All right, that's it from me. It's 8 o'clock. I gotta get ready to take rest and get up tomorrow morning early. And Vijay Lakshmi, Hare Krishna.
It's just asking for a reference of the quote. I think it's from whatever you're talking about, sex attraction between men and women or something. You said it would tie together, and you switched from the reading to something else and read a quote. But you asked for the reference of it.
Reverence for what quote?
When you were doing the reading, you stopped in between a part where it was talking about.
Yes, that is from. You can find that. It is called Vigyapti Panchaka. You Google it and you can find it. Vigyapti Panchaka, or you can find it in the GBC publication of the deity worship books. There's 2 of them. What are the name of those books? Pancharatra Pradeep. They're in the Pancharatra Pradeep, and it's called Vikyapti, Vijnapti, Panchaka, Pancaka. And it's the second verse in that 5-verse prayer that is recited after we do deity worship for forgiveness of offenses. That's the reference. You know, I forgot your name. What is your name? Hello. He's tired. He's been ready to go for a long time. He already put all his things in his bag. Can you spell it for me? How can I can't let Father, Dad.
He is Tamal Gopal.
Tamal Gopal. Whoa, nice name. Okay, time to go to bed. Hare Krishna. We'll see you later. Thank you everyone out there in cyberspace. Please continue to come and hear Bhagavatam with us because it's all there. Prabhupada will lay it all out to the point where we can actually understand who we are and why we don't belong here in this material world and why we should stop trying, like working like asses to make it something that it's not. The truth will set you free. Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai. Kashyapa Muni ki jai. Gaur Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol. Thank you very much.